Now, it's an honor for me to be here today to share with you on this very challenging topic, because this is the first time I've been given this topic, and in front of me are all of you who are from the Faculty of Comparative Religion, and Professor Levy, a professor in Comparative Religion. So it will be a challenging task for me. But inshallah, God willing, I will do what I can to share with you from my perspective and from my point of view about this topic, which is from Islamophobia to Islamodium, a retort from an Islamic revert. Now, brothers and sisters in Islam and in humanity, before we go any further, let's talk about the definitions. And I believe this is how the way is supposed to be, which we have to give the definition. Let's look at the terms Islamophobia first, before we go to Islamodium. Islamophobia is a combination of two different words, Islam and phobia, right? Now let's talk about Islam. Islam is coming from the root word, which means salam. In Arabic, it means salam, but in English, it means peace and tranquility. And one of the misconceptions that a lot of people have, even among the Muslims, is that Islam was founded by Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, 1,400 years ago. Why do I say that this is a misconception? Because according to a Muslim belief, an Islamic belief, Islam is not a new religion. Islam was there since time immemorial, starting from who we believe and what we believe. Prophet Adam, Abraham, Moses, Jesus, and all the prophets, peace be upon all of them. We believe all of them are prophets in Islam. So Islam was not founded by Prophet Muhammad 1,400 years ago. And that's why, back in the 18th and 19th century, you have a lot of books written by academicians that do not call Islam as Islam. They will call Islam as? Yes, Mohammedanism. Why did they call it as Mohammedanism? The fact is, most of the religion in this world, the name derived from the founder or from geography. Like for example, Hinduism, the name Hinduism derived from Indus Valley. And the name of, let's talk about my previous religions, Buddhism, derived from the name of Siddhartha Gautama, his title, Buddha. From there, you get the name of Buddhism. So, when it comes to Christianity, it derived from the title of Jesus Christ, Christian, the follower of Christ. But Islam was not Mohammedanism. Why during that time, in the 18th and 19th century, they give the name of Mohammedanism? Because they have the idea that Islam was founded by Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. So Islam means salam, peace and tranquility, and from the same root word of silm, which means peace acquired through submissions to the Almighty God. So in short, Islam is a religion of peace. This is what we love to call it as. So phobia means the fear of something. So when we talk about Islamophobia, meaning the fear of religions of peace. So what is Islamodium? I tried to Google it, but I could not find any. I tried to search on YouTube, I could not find any. But end up, it's a combination of two words as well. Islam and odium. Odium is hatred or strong dislike or disapproval towards something or towards someone. So Islamodium means the hatred towards the religions of peace. So in conclusion, in summary, the topic that we have today is from the fear of Islam, religions of peace, to the hatred of the religions of peace. Now, brothers and sisters, that is a summary for the topic. Now, let's go to the statistic. Is there any hatred towards Islam today? What do you think? Yes? So, that's the end of our talk then. No. This is just to get started, okay? For us to get started. Now, to claim something is easy, but to prove something is a bit difficult. Everyone Everyone can claim anything that they love to claim. But to prove it is difficult. Now, let's look at what the news, what the academicians have done in terms of the statistics. I love numbers. I love statistics. 2 plus 2 always equal to 4, right? Is the numbers always there? Numbers don't lie. The words that we say, the words that we utter might be able to lie, deceive people. But when it comes to formula, when it comes to numbers, it will never lie. Look at these numbers, brothers and sisters. Now, the hate crime in Canada rise up to 47%, and the Muslims are the ones who are being targeted. As you can see here, the biggest increase was in crime targeting Muslim. Now, number one, proof number one. Evidence number two, from the Independent. Islamophobic incident rose 375% after the current Prime Minister of UK, Boris Johnson, he compared Muslim women to a letterboxes. This is a statistic. Hate crimes rose by 375%. We are not talking about 37.5%, but 375%. And this is in BBC, religious hate crimes, rise in offences recorded by police. And you can see down here, most religious hate crime, 52% of all offences was aimed at Muslim. Was aimed at Muslim. Now, let's go to closer to you, which is in your country. You know how to read this, right? I can't. But there is a reason why I cover this. Because when something starts with F, it's not good for me to show it to you. Who say this word? Do you have any ideas? Who say this? No, right? Now, this is what we call as Islamophobic, Islamophobe. And someone can become so proud by wearing such a t-shirt. I'm a proud Islamophobe. So meaning, the Islamodium, the hatred towards Islam is already there. Let me ask you by asking you this simple question by showing you these pictures. Do you recognize this guy? What was his name? My pronunciations might be a bit wrong. The only one that I can pronounce correctly in Norway is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I'm a fan of Manchester United last time, so Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, whenever he's called, Solskjaer, right? So I can remember Solskjaer's name better, okay? Now, Anders Breivik, he was known for what? Terrorism. Back in? Now, this is like a questions, right? Q&A, quiz. 2011, yes. How many people did he kill? No Googling, yeah? Let me give you the information. Most of you might know. Now, I have nothing to prove actually over here. It's just that I'm showing you a chronological of what happened around the world in order for us to understand the topic today better. Now, Anders Breivik, he committed a crime by killing 77 people. He detonated a bomb in a van that killed 8 people. And he had a rampant shooting that killed children who are on a summer camp back in 2011. What was his objective? And he wrote the longest manifesto ever, longer than any politician. 1,500 pages. And in conclusion, in summary, one of his aim is Islamophobia. Islamophobia. To stop the immigrants from coming to Norway. And as far as I know, the last statistic that I read yesterday, Muslims are the second largest populations, in terms of religion, in Norway, 4% of them. But of course, other than that, they are Christian, 70%. So Muslims are considered as number 2 in Norway. Now, this is Anders Breivik. How about this guy? Any ideas? Why am I keep on showing you guys all these pictures? You guys know him? No. He looked very familiar, right? Did he look very familiar? Look familiar, but you don't have the idea who he is. Now let me tell you, brothers and sisters, last year in Christchurch, New Zealand. This is the shooter. At first, they call him as shooter. Nobody call him as terrorist. Until Jacinda Ardern, the Prime Minister of New Zealand, start to call him as terrorist. And what did he say? New Zealand suspect allegedly claimed brief contact with Norwegian mass murderer Anders Breivik. There is a hyperlink. Have any one of you read his manifesto? Of course, most of us will not read his manifesto because it's too extreme. But let me share with you some of his manifesto to prove my point that the Islamodium is there. The main motive is there. I just picked out of the 73 manifesto, I will just pick 2. Did you personally hate Muslim? He say, a Muslim man or woman living in their homeland? No, I don't hate them. A Muslim man or woman choosing to invade our land, live on our soil, and replace our people? Yes, I dislike them. Very particular, very specific. And he say, the one that he truly hate the most, the only Muslim I truly hate is the convert. Why? Because those from our own people that turn their back on their heritage, turns their back on their cultures, turn their back on their traditions, and became blood traders to their own race. This I hate the most. But unfortunately, most of the people that he killed in Christchurch, majority of them are not the local, the white people. They are the immigrants, those who are praying inside the mosque without any weapon. Up to today, more than 51 people have been killed by this guy. Now, and he was asked, was this attack Islamophobic in origin? So this is what he have to say. Islamic nations, in particular, have high birth rate, regardless of race or ethnicity, and in this, there was an anti-Islamic motivations to the attack, as well as a want for revenge against Islam for 1,300 years of war and devastations that it has brought upon the people of the West and other peoples around the world. There is a reason why I bold this, in which I will explain further in my talk later, inshallah, God willing. How about this guy? Have any ideas who is him? Mansaus. Thank you so much. Actually, I can't pronounce his name. I'm afraid I pronounced his name wrongly. Philip Mansaus. What did he do? He went and attacked a mosque, coincidentally, a soul by the name of An-Nur Mosque in Norway last year, August. And what is the similarity that he has? This is what he claimed. Man who stormed mosque armed with shotgun was inspired by Christchurch and El Paso attack. You know what happened in El Paso, in USA, a different part of the world? 22 people was killed by an extremist. Now, the alleged gunman who launched a suspected terror on a mosque in Norway was inspired by the Christchurch, Poway, and El Paso shooters, online records suggest. Now, brothers and sisters, I would like to ask you a question. Can I? Yes or yes? You only have one choice. Yes. Can you love someone that you never know? Out of nowhere? You don't even know who they are? Can you love that person? Can you, out of sudden, hate somebody that you never interact, that you never know before? No. If you hate someone that you never interact with, that you never know, that you never talk to, meaning there is something wrong with the way we think. Am I right? This meaning that those group of people who have hatred toward Islam, they must develop this kind of hatred somewhere else. Do you still remember the ex-president of United States, George Bush? What was the reason that he gave when he wanted to attack Iraq? That was like back 17 years ago, in which most of you might still be a toddler. Yeah? What did he say? He said that we know, we believe, just because he said he believed, we believe that Saddam Hussein, Iraq, have WMD. What is WMD? Weapon of mass destruction. Now, Saddam Hussein died and the country destroyed. Did they found any WMD? Yes or no? Yes, there is. There is a WMD. But this WMD is not weapon of mass destruction. It is a weapon of mass deception. It's still WMD. Still WMD. And the ex-Prime Minister of UK, Tony Blair, he gave an interview to The Guardian. You know The Guardian in UK? He said, one of the things that he regretted the most during his premiership, when he was the Prime Minister, is that the attack on Iraq and Afghanistan that killed more than 500,000 of innocent lives. You know what did he say? He said, I'm sorry. Just 2 words. I'm sorry, and 500,000 lives gone. Without any proof. Without any proof. And you know why and where did Brandon Tarrant, the terrorist who attacked Christchurch last year, develop the idea? Let's ask him by ourselves, okay? Look at his own manifesto. He was asked, from where did you receive, research, develop your belief? And he gave a very affirmative answer, a very confident answer. Where else? The internet, of course. You will not find the truth anywhere else. Meaning, his sole source for information about religion and about what's happening around the world is only in internet. Let me share with you one of my experience when I traveled to Africa. Any one of you have been to Africa before? Which country? Zimbabwe. I want to talk about Zimbabwe. Now, what do you think about Zimbabwe? I'm not asking you. I'm asking those people who never been there. What do you think about Zimbabwe through what the media have said? Just give me some feedback. What do you think about Zimbabwe? When I just mentioned Zimbabwe, what come into your mind? Dangerous. What else? Nobody mentioned Robert Mugabe? The ex-president? Dangerous. What else? The crime rate. Yeah? Nasty people, huh? Right? Let us ask the sister who have been to Zimbabwe. And alhamdulillah, all praise to God that she's still alive today, that she can give a testimony now. How was it? Which part of Zimbabwe do you been to? Bulawayo. Okay, we've been there. We've been Mutare as well. And we've been to Harare. How was it?
I liked it. It was a very poor area, but very friendly people.
Now, brother and sister, at first, when we received the invitations to go to Zimbabwe, I was so afraid. Why I'm so afraid? Because what the media have told me and the pictures that has been presented to me is that Zimbabwe is a very dangerous place. Don't ever mention it. Don't even go there. I was told. But we went there. So once we touched down, we still have the fear. But what happened the next day? We want to try Harare without any security. Wow, that is the initiative. So by 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, we are at the road, on the street. We are looking at the people of Zimbabwe. And you know what? It's just like another city. Am I right, sister? It's just like another city. But if you just by listening to what the media have presented to you, will you go to Zimbabwe? You won't, and I won't. But I've been there. And we was invited by University of Zimbabwe to give a speech, a lecture to a group of students from religious study and their professor. And have something to do with Islamophobia as well. And the thing that surprised me is that most of them, they never own a copy of a Quran. They are the third-year students of religious studies, but none of them own any copy of the Quran. So when we ask them, how do you do your religious studies? And they say, we got it from a research from other party, which means that is a secondary source, not the primary source. So meaning, if someone from academic background, like those people who study in religious study, yet they do not refer to the main source, but refer to secondary source, then can I really blame those terrorists who hate Islam just because they based on a research on secondary resource? No, I can't. I can't really blame them. But meaning, the media have a part to play in developing this Islamodium, hatred towards Islam. And let's see. The question was asked after the attack in Christchurch. The thing that really surprised me, I'm not sure about all of you, the thing that really surprised me when the attack happened, because I'm not sure either this is fortunate or not fortunate. When that incident happened, someone sent me the link, and I'm watching Brandon Tarrant shooting people alive. Was telecast live. And I saw him shooting 2 people. And then it was cut off. It's too late. I saw 2. 2 dead body. I saw 2. The thing that really surprised me is not the attack. The thing that really surprised me, the place where it took place, New Zealand. Because New Zealand is one of the safest countries in the world, and one of the places which the tolerance is very high when it comes to multiracial and multi-religion people. But why this attack took place? These are the things that puzzling me. So, the same question was asked by the people in New Zealand. So, they asked this question, Islamophobia in New Zealand, where does it come from? Let's not listen to me alone. Because some might think that since Brother Firdaus is a Muslim, so maybe he might be defending Muslim. Neither I'm attacking non-Muslim, but we are talking to a group of academicians. Let's go for numbers, reference, and statistics and research. This research was done by the University of Otago in New Zealand. And the professor who lead this research is Professor John Shaver. Professor John Shaver, this is his conclusions. He said, our findings suggested that negative attitudes towards Muslims are, in part, the result of frequent exposure to biased and inaccurate representations of Muslims in the media. By the way, Shaver is not a Muslim. If he's a Muslim, maybe you can say he's a bias, but he is not a Muslim. He done a research. And another research done by New Zealand Value and Attitude Survey. They conducted a survey of 16,854 persons, and they do a 2-way survey. Number one is that they ask them, what do you think about Islam and Muslim before they are being exposed to the media? And majority of them say that, oh, we have no problem with Islam, we have no problem with Muslim, we are just fine with them, no problem. This is before. And after they are being exposed to the media, because they are doing this 2-way of research, after they are being exposed to frequent media headlines, so on and so forth, and then they being interviewed again, and they was asked the same question. Now, what do you think about Islam and Muslim? The same group of people. And their answer is the opposite. They say, I hate Muslim. I hate Islam. Why they are doing this? Why they are doing that? Frequent exposed to biased media. I'm not saying that the media is lying, but the media is telling you half-truth. The media is telling you half-truth. Let me give you one example. Have you come across one headline in the Sun UK, where they say 1/5, 1 out of 5 Muslims in Britain, they are sympathetic towards the ISIS radical? Have you come across that research? None? It's okay. Now let me expose to you. Later you can Google it. The statistic is correct. 1 out of 5 of the Muslims in Britain, they are sympathetic towards ISIS fighter. But what the Sun refuse, or maybe intentionally do not want you to know, is that the question that was asked to those Muslims. What was the question? The question was not, are you sympathetic towards the ISIS fighter? No. The question was, are you sympathetic? Are you sympathetic towards those Muslims who went to support ISIS, who are being coaxed, who are being tricked, who are being lied upon to fight in Syria? And 1/5 of them say yes. Now, if I were to ask you this question as a non-Muslim, will you be sympathetic on them as well? You will agree as well, you will agree as well, and you will say, oh yes, I agree. They are being tricked to fight there. But what the media is telling you is the truth, but not the absolute truth. It's just the half-truth. Now, let's look at this. I give you two comparisons from two different incidents, happened to two different groups of people. This, back in UK, the same newspaper, this guy killed 50 in a gay club. And this guy was known as a non-practicing Muslim. But basically, there is no such thing as called non-practicing Muslim. You know what do I mean? Let me give you an example. Iced lemon tea is hot or cold? Iced lemon tea. Cold. Okay. Do you think you can go to a shop, a cafe, and say, sir, I would like to order a hot iced lemon tea? The waiter will look at you and think, what's wrong with you, man? Iced lemon tea is cold. And hot is hot. So do you want a hot lemon tea or iced lemon tea? Muslim means someone who practices the deen, someone who practices the religion. Non-practicing is the opposite of practicing. So how can you have hot and cold in the same time? It's an illogical fallacy. Now, what do I mean here? This guy, he was known as a non-practicing. And this picture might be the only picture that he's wearing the cap. Most of the time, he's not wearing it. And he is a frequent visitor to the gay club. He takes drugs, he drinks beers. Okay? And he killed. Now, I don't justify. A terrorist is a terrorist. Call it by whatever name that you want. But this guy was called as ISIS maniac. Either he have a link to ISIS, I do not know. I do not know. And I'm not here to defend. Wrong is wrong. But you can see the way they select the pictures and the words. Here is ISIS maniac, killed 50 in gay club. Now, angelic boy who grew into an evil far-right mass killer. Do you know the difference between these two? And why they are putting this angelic boy and these pictures here and not these pictures? Do you have any ideas? Brothers and sisters, these pictures will develop that kind of sympathy in your heart that, oh, angelic boy so cute, oh man, why he became like that? But once upon a time, all of us are angelic girls and boys, right? But why don't, for ISIS maniac, they put how an angelic boy developed into an ISIS maniac? No, they don't. It's a different headline for different people. Why so? I have to be very fair here. Those Islamophobes, those who have Islamophobia, the fear towards Islam, some are genuine and some are not genuine. What do I mean by here? Those who have fear towards Islam is due to, let me give you an example, the genuine fear. When they see a different culture, people from different background, people from different value, they come to your own land and they are talking in a language that you don't understand. Do you have that kind of fear, brothers and sisters? Let's be honest. Yes, it's a genuine fear. And when both parties are not talking to one another and both parties are talking from a different perspective, so you have a fear that they might take over your country. There is a fear. It's a genuine fear. Those people, they are not exposed to any Muslim and they might not even have read any Quran. They might not even read the hadith, the saying of the Prophet. But the only source of information about Islam and Muslim might just come from the media. Their only source. Do you know in America, almost 2/3 of the American, they never travel outside of America? And most of them, they don't even own a passport to start with. But why? They develop that kind of fear and hatred. Because they are living in their own suburb, living in their own town, in their own city, living with the same people. When out of sudden, there are people out there who say, oh, the Muslim is coming. It's like, you never been to the house, but people is telling you there is a ghost inside. Will you go there? Those who are adventurous enough, they will go. But those who are not, they will never step inside. But when you ask them, why you don't step inside? Just pay them a visit. No. I heard people say there is a ghost. But wait, have you ever seen any ghost there? No. So how do you know there is a ghost there? Somebody told me. So, better not to try it. That is how it goes. The genuine fear. But there are those who are not genuine fear. the not legitimate fear. Those who are paid. I will prove to you this point, inshallah. Now, you know him? I'm not talking anything about politics, yeah? No worry. You know him, right? Do you think this kind of words, this kind of sentence makes sense coming from a leader? No. This can be called as bigotry and racist. They have their own reason. You just cannot create an enemy out of nowhere. You must create a fear towards a group of people in order for you to do something against the same group of people. Now, when you're being presented with this is genuine fear. If I, in your position, brothers and sisters, I might have the same fear too. Because if I never exposed to any Muslim or Islam, I might have the same fear too. That, the rise of radical Islam. Every single day, you are being bombarded with this. You are being bombarded with this. You are being bombarded with this. And this. So end up, you have the idea, anyone who wear a cap or anyone who wear a hijab, anyone who grow a beard, they are like this. There is a genuine fear. The media is keep on playing these pictures in your mind. Have you come across this saying? This saying was not coined by me anyway. Not all Muslims are terrorists. It sounds good. Read the later part. But all terrorists are Muslim. Have you heard this before, brothers and sisters? No? So today is your first time. Thank you. Do you agree with this statement? No, you don't. All don't agree. Okay, then I think my job is done. No, I didn't really hope that you agree. But what do I mean here is that, why don't we go for the sake of discussion? For the sake of discussion, we agree to this statement. We agree to this statement that not all Muslims are terrorists, but all terrorists are Muslim. Let's begin with this first, that we agree for the sake of discussion. Okay? We agree for the sake of discussion. Just because a group of people who claim they are Muslim and they shout Allahu Akbar, which means God is great, and they kill people in the name of Islam, in the name of Allah, which, for your information, in the Quran, in Surah Al-Ma'idah, chapter number 5, verse 32, God says that if you kill one innocent soul, it's like you have killed the entire humanity. If you were to save one's soul, it's like you have saved the entire humanity. This is the words in the glorious Quran. It didn't say, if you kill one innocent Muslim soul, every soul, Muslim or non-Muslim, men or women, same. You are not allowed to kill. But for the sake of discussion, let's agree to it. Just because one group, therefore, the entire Muslim populations of 1.7 billion are being blamed. So let's go and start the ball rolling. You know what is IRA, right? Not Islamic Republican Army. It's Irish Republican Army. How long was the war in Ireland, in Northern Ireland? It was from 1968 to 1998. For 30 years. For 30 years. They claim to be the defenders of Catholic. But yet, they slaughter and they kill more than 800 Catholic citizens. Public. Innocent people. They kill Protestant. They kill people who disagree with them. But yet, they claim they are the defender of Catholic. So, going with the yardstick, that just because a group of Muslims committed an act of terrorism in the name of Islam, so therefore all Muslims are terrorists. So do you agree with me that can we call all the Catholic as terrorists then? Because of what IRA have done? Yes or no? No. I agree with you. No. It's a nonsensible. You know this guy? You might saw him before. No? His name is Arshin Viratu. He's a founder of 969 movement in Myanmar who massacre thousands and thousands of innocent people. And the magazine Time call him as the face of Buddhist terror. This is Arshin Viratu. He is not an ordinary Muslim, a Buddhist. He is a Buddhist monk. And since using the same yardstick, a small group of people do something and the entire group are being blamed, so now can we say that all Buddhists are terrorists? No, I would disagree with that. Because the first precept of Buddhism is that do not kill. There are 5 precepts. Do not kill, do not lie, do not steal, do not misuse sex, do not consume alcohol. So I will agree with you. I will not call all the Buddhists as terrorists. And just for your information, when Arshin Viratu and all the monks in Myanmar start to kill the Rohingya, I make a statement here in Malaysia that I say, and I talk to all the Muslims here in Malaysia, and I told them, you should not blame Buddhism for this. Despite I'm not a Buddhist. Why? Because Islam commands me to stand up for justice. Don't listen to what I have to say. Go back and refer to the Quran. In Surah An-Nisa, chapter number 4, verse 135, Allah says that stand up for justice, even against your father, your mother, your brother, your sister, and even against yourself. And I just cannot hate them just because they are from different religion. I can't. And I make a statement not to condemn them, but to support Buddhism, which is not my religion. Because that is what Islam is all about, to stand up for justice. And I say you should not blame the Buddhism teaching, because this is an act of a group of people who claim to represent Buddhism, but in fact they do not follow the practices of Buddhism. Likewise, for us as a Muslim, we do not want people to call us as terrorists just because someone hijacked our religion to commit the act of terrorism. We disagree on that. You know who is this? This group? This is Hindutva. Have you heard about it before? No. Hindutva. Hindutva is a terrorist group in India. They are also known as Saffron Terror. Saffron Terror. Now, I'm not going to politics, despite you can see someone very familiar here. Okay? Despite you can see someone very familiar here. Now, this is a statistic in their own media. Hindu terror goes unpunished in India. India today, Hindutva terror is real. Now, in India, you know what is happening now? That someone can be killed just because someone else accused that another person own a beef. You know beef? You know beef burger? Yes. In India, someone can just be killed just because somebody else who didn't know where they get the information from, they have no evidence or whatsoever, just by saying, that guy have a beef in his bag. They don't even check the bag. They beat up the person, and the person die. And it's a record numbers of people who die because of being accused of owning a beef, not even eat beef. Owning a beef. Because for the Hindus, beef is, cow is sacred, right? Yes. And even in their political manifesto, let me share with you, you can go and Google this news. Adiyanan. Adiyanan, he's a monk, a Hindu monk. And he wants to contest for a post in Tamil Nadu, which have 200 million population. And his speech was recorded and published on YouTube. Even if I show it to you now, you will not be able to understand because it's in their language. He say, this is what he say in his speech. He say, we should destroy all the mosques and replace it with our temples, and we should dig back all the grave of the Muslim women and rape them. And he wants and become the chief minister of, not Tamil Nadu, sorry, Uttar Pradesh. And he became the chief minister of Uttar Pradesh. Supported by who? Supported by Narendra Modi, the prime minister of India, who happened to be, he was banned to travel to Europe and United States when he was the chief minister of Gujarat back in 2002. And that ban was lifted after he was selected and elected as the prime minister of India, because he was charged in the act of terrorism. But it went unpunished. Now, brothers and sisters, what do you see here? What do you see here? Black sheep? No, it's a group of sheep. Why do you single out the sheep, the black sheep? Now, brother and sister, do you realize that just now I've presented to you a lot of acts of terrorism committed by different religious groups, but yet the one who are being highlighted the most in the media are the, I can't hear you, Muslim. Why? It's like what Joseph Goebbels have to say. He's the chief propagandist for Nazi. He say, if you repeat a lie enough, eventually people will believe it's true. When I show you this slide, you can just immediately tell me it's very obvious, something which is very obvious. Logical mind will tell you, this is a group of sheep. But the answer that I got is, there is a black sheep. And I have to agree with you, there is a black sheep, because he has been singled out because the color is different. Islam and Muslim are being singled out because they are different. What different they brought? And over here, brothers and sisters, we want to focus on the black sheep itself. And do you agree with me, brothers and sisters, that in every community, in Islam, in Christianity, whatever denominations that you're talking about, in Buddhism, in Hinduism, in atheism, in communism, in whatever ism that you're talking about, there are black sheep in the community? Yes or yes? Yes. You know why? You know why we don't see all the white sheep, but we only see this black sheep? It's not a surprise when you go into further research. Reason being, because the University of Alabama, they conducted a research, and the research finding is frightening actually. Because through their finding, an act of terrorism that committed by a Muslim received 357% more press attention. Just to give you a simple numbers, if a non-Muslim committed an act of terrorism, they will only receive 15 headlines. But if someone, they have the name of Arabic name, look like Muslim, they will receive 105 headlines. And you know what? According to statistic as well, this statistic is not from me. Statistic from CIA and FBI as well. White terrorism is an international menace. We need a new strategy to fight it. They say white terrorism. And let me give you the example, the statistic that has been given by CIA and FBI, not me. Don't look at there, look here. The ADL says between 2009 and 2018, there were 427 killings in the United States by extremists, 73% by right-wingers, 23% by Muslim. Still a lot for me as a Muslim. And 3% by left-wingers. When you look into the statistic, 3/4 of the act of terrorists in United States from that year, in that duration, in that period, was committed by right-wingers. Was committed by right-wingers. And, brother and sister, but the money that has been channeled, according to the latest research that I just read just now before I come into the hall, they say they spend 80% of their budget fighting terrorism outside, but they only spend 20% only for their own security. Which American was killed more by right-wingers compared to Islamists or so-called Muslim terrorists. But they are fighting the war out there. Now, let me ask you this question. You are from Europe? Easy. Terrorist attack committed by Muslims from 2006 and 2013. Make a guess. How many percent was committed by Muslims in Europe? Make a guess, come on. 27. How many percent? 27. Where are you? I can't see you. Okay, 27. Thank you, sister. Anyone want to bid higher? 27%. Anybody? How many percent? Just make a guess, no problem. There is no sin committed if you have the wrong guess. 27%? Nobody else? Make a guess, just based on what the media have told you, what you are being presented by the media, roughly how many percent that you would think the act of terrorism by Muslim in Europe in that period? 60%. 60%. Wow, you are, okay. 60%. You would like to double up the figure? Anybody else? No? Now, brother and sister, this statistic was not given by me. This statistic was given by Europol. You know what is Europol? It's not the parent club of Liverpool. There is a different football club. Europol is European Police. This, you can find it in their own website. In their own website. And when I presented this, you mentioned 27%, you mentioned 60%. Thank you so much. If look at what the media have presented to us, it seems like 80%. More than that. But you know what? The numbers never lie. The total act of terrorism committed by the Muslim in Europe from 2006 until 2013 was a staggering. How many percent, brother and sister? How many percent? Is it a lot? It is. It is a lot. You know why? I quoted you just now. Surah Al-Ma'idah chapter 5 verse 32. If you kill one innocent soul, it's like you have killed the entire humanity. If you save one soul, it's like you have saved the entire humanity. For me as a Muslim, brothers and sisters, even 0.7% is a lot. Let me ask the Muslim, do you think it's a lot, the Muslim? 0.7%? It's a lot. As a Muslim, I am not even supposed to kill any innocent soul. What more about 0.7%? But let's go back to the reality. According to the statistic, 99.3% of the act of terrorism in Europe was committed by non-Muslim. But the fear will be more on Muslim. Will be more on Muslim. And you know what? Interestingly, there is a studies in United States by their consumer group. They say you are more likely to die from a fallen furniture than an act of terrorism. And in United States, every year, 150,000 people die because of murder. No, suicide. And 300,000 people die because of murder. So meaning, you have more people who die because of the gun violence in United States. But yet, the Muslims are being targeted day in, day out, every single day, in their mainstream media. And look at this statistic, again, not by me. In 2017, the most recent year for which complete data is available, 39,773 people died from gun-related injuries. And the call has been done by the Americans to ban the ownership of guns in America. But the National Rifle Association, the NRA, has been lobbying enough that this bill was never even mentioned and never discussed in their Congress. And again, I'm not here to talk about politics, but I'm talking about priority. Why the Muslims are being targeted? Because in a reductionist kind of summary, I would like to give you this simple conclusion from why they refuse to ban gun ownership in United States, but they keep on blaming the Muslim and wage war around the world. You know why? Because when you wage war, the weapon will sell more, and those people who in that industry will earn more. As simple as that. When you have no war, the weapon industry will collapse, and who going to fund the presidential candidate to run for their president's post? As simple as that. You can agree and you can disagree. But this is my reductionist approach. And there's another thing, brother and sister, all these things because Islamophobia is an industry. It's a claim again. Brother, this is a claim. So many claims. Let me prove to you. The claim, I will substantiate with evidence. US government spent $500 million to create fake propaganda video on Al-Qaeda. And this was exposed, not by me, this was exposed by their PR firm. They just cannot go on lying to the world, despite they are being paid to do this job, to create fake videos about Islam, about Al-Qaeda, to tarnish the image of Islam, so they can justify the war. It's not war against terrorists, it's war against peace, because most of the country are in peace, but now they tear them into pieces to justify. 500 million. What can you do with 500 million? You can do wonders. You can do wonders in America, around the world, with 500 million. But Pentagon spent 500 million just to create fake videos on Al-Qaeda. And it's not a surprise that Islamophobia is an industry. According to University of California and Council American Islamic Relations, CARE, they conducted a survey from 2018 until 2013. During that period of time, 74 groups, organizations in United States of America, they receive and they have the access to a funding of total $206 million. Why? Just to create lies and hatred toward Islam and Muslim. That's why, when it comes to the Fox News, when it comes to the media, whenever there is something happen, they will invite an expert on Islam. Who are the experts? The pseudo-expert. Who is a pseudo-expert? Let me give you some name. I'm making a claim here, and you can find it, inshallah. Frank Gaffney. Have you heard about his name before? You don't. But no worry. He's very famous in White House because he is the advisor for Donald Trump. Frank Gaffney, he even made that kind of blatant lies that the 1993 Oklahoma state government's bombing was done by Saddam Hussein. But end up, the FBI and the CIA found out that the one who committed that act is a Catholic by the name of Timothy McVeigh. He made that claim. And before that, you have George Bush advisor by the name of Robert Spencer. They don't have any think tank, so they create their own think tank, and their think tank are being called an expert by who? By themselves. Even in academic world, in a university, nobody will tell them that these are the experts. But according to the media, they are the expert. And I believe you will not allow someone who claimed them himself and the expert without ever publishing any academic research on any reputable journals to claim themselves as an expert. But in America, they do. This is in 2018 until 2013. But the recent research, brothers and sisters, the same research conducted by Council of American Islamic Relationship, CARE, they found out 39 groups in the Islamophobia industry, they have access to $1.5 billion. $1.5 billion from, okay, this. 1,096 foundations donated this sum of money to 39 groups in order to instill hatred and lies and fear toward Islam in United States. You know why they are focusing in United States? Because whatever they begin in United States, it will be easily spread out around the world. The pop cultures and so on and so forth. So brothers and sisters, this is the Islamophobia industry that we are living in. So what is my conclusion? I'm not here to attack anyone. I'm here just to present the fact and the figures. The conclusion is, brothers and sisters, let's talk to one another. How many of you have encountered a Muslim and have an in-depth communications with them about Islam, about your religion, about your culture, about your value, about your belief, to understand their belief? Are they here to take over your country? Are they here to instill fear to you? Are they here to kill you? Or are you being told that they want to kill you? Most of us might not ever encounter someone, honestly speaking. And again, we have to go back to the rule of thumb. In every community, there is a black sheep. In every community. In every community, you have that. The problem that we have today, brother and sister, because we love to be manipulated by the media. We take the media as the holy scriptures, which is not. We prefer to talk about one another behind one another back rather than to talk to one another face to face. So the conclusions and one of the ways to move forward is, let's talk to one another. You might have your belief. And let me share with you before I go to the end. Let me share with you this experience of mine. A few years back, there is a Christian missionary from United States. He came to Malaysia, and he's a missionary. he presented himself. He's a missionary. So when he came to my office and we get him a tea, of course, then I told him, I appreciate that you're willing to come all the way from United States to Malaysia to propagate your faith. I told him. It might come as a surprise to some of you and to maybe some Muslim communities here in Malaysia. Why do I praise someone who preached a different faith from me? Let's listen to this. Then I tell him that, thank you so much for coming all the way to Malaysia to propagate your faith, because I believe you're a good Christian. Because you cannot become a good Christian if you do not share your faith, because you believe Christian is the only truth, the only way to go to paradise. You have that kind of conviction. So you are here, according to your belief, is to share your faith, to save someone from hellfire. Am I right, brother and sister? Did I say something wrong? No? I say, I appreciate that. But in the meantime, brother, I told him, Mark, his name is Mark, but in the same time, the fact that I'm a Muslim from Buddhist background, I also have the same conviction. I believe Islam is the truth. I believe Islam is the salvation. And I believe Islam is the only way to paradise. No two way. So I appreciate you coming here, and let's have a discussion. And end up, he still leave our building as a Christian, and I still remain as a Muslim. We talk to one another. We don't create war. We don't create lies against one another. But we understand each other better. You see? So this is what we're supposed to do. And especially, brothers and sisters from university, I will encourage you. You're supposed to be the ambassador for peace. Ambassador to talk to one another, because you study comparative religion. You know what is there in the religious scriptures. It's quite contrary to what the media have told the public. So we should go out and tell the masses, even to our own community, that this is not what Islam is all about. This is not Hindu is all about. This is not what Christian is all about. You should tell them the truth rather than instilling hatred and fear towards them. No, we're supposed to talk to one another, not talk about one another. And brother and sister, think. Do your own research. Use the logic that God has given to us. And think. Do your research. And this guy, you know him? He was from Holland, Rotterdam. I was there in 2018. His name is, hopefully I pronounced his name correctly, Arnold Wendon. Arnold Wendon, he used to work for Geert Wilders. Geert Wilders is one of the politicians in Netherlands, in which he produced a movie called Fitna. And this guy, he is not the producer, but he is a PR firm that promoted that movie. So after a few years that he's earning his income from promoting that movie, the consciousness come into his heart. And he know from the country that he have visited, from the Muslim that he have encountered, and from the religious scriptures that he have read, he realized that Islam is not like what the movie say. The Muslim that I encounter is not like that. So end up, through his own thinking, logical thinking, and more research, and then he embraced Islam, and I met him in Rotterdam back in 2018. So brothers and sisters, my time is up.